Joining me now, author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America, Gordon Chang, and former Deputy National Security Advisor to Vice President Cheney, Steve Yates. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me here. A lot of pomp and circumstance, maybe not a surprise, but of course, it's going to be all about what these two men discuss. Steve, what are you expecting out of this meeting? Of course, a lot of topics to get to.
Definitely a lot of topics to get to, and really it'll come down to what does President Trump choose to emphasize by way of pressing the agenda with his counterpart. There's a major effort he's trying to make to rebalance the U.S. China economic relationship. It's largely been an unfair relationship for a long time, and the president has used tariffs and other measures to try to rebalance that. He's brought a number of CEOs along to try to address some of the areas he thinks there might be cooperation. But conspicuously, several of those CEOs, their companies aren't even allowed to operate inside China, which is a glaring imbalance of reciprocity. There's far less access for America in China than there has been for China in the United States. So I think that has to be first and foremost for the president. But then he's going to deal with Iran and national security and a host of other issues as well, not least of which would be fentanyl in the United States.
Yeah, very good point there. You know, of course, Gordon, I do want to get your thoughts about all of those tech leaders with President Trump. We know that the head of NVIDIA joined late in the game, kind of jumped on the plane, so to speak, or the bandwagon in Alaska. But other people who had been included in this initially, we see Apple's Tim Cook, BlackRock's Larry Fink, Elon Musk. How significant is this? And also, what do you make of NVIDIA's chairman joining at the last minute? Of course, chips, a hot topic.
Yeah, chips are a hot topic. And the only way that China can compete with the United States on AI is if they get access to NVIDIA's best chips, the ones that are based on the Blackwell architecture. I don't think we should be selling those chips, certainly. Also, we know that China doesn't want to buy the H200 chip. That was the one that the Trump administration approved for export in January. But we learned from Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick just a week or so ago that China has not bought any of the H200s. They're holding out for the Blackwell, and clearly we shouldn't be selling them that because AI competition is the competition for the 21st century, and China can only compete if they have access to our chips. The other important tech issue is Meta, because China's National Development and Reform Commission ordered Meta to unwind the acquisition of Manus, which was a Chinese AI startup based in Singapore. This took everybody by complete surprise because Meta had actually completed the acquisition as a practical matter. I'm sure that that's going to come up in discussions between President Trump and Xi Jinping.
I'm sure you're right about that, Gordon. And another big topic, of course, that we just know is going to come up, of course, the Iran war. And let's get to what President Trump said yesterday before he left.
What is your message to President Xi as it relates to the Iran war?
Well, I think, number one, we're going to have a long talk about it. I think he's been relatively good, to be honest with you. You look at the blockade, no problems. They get a lot of their oil from that area. We've had no problem.
Do you think he needs to intervene at all with the Iranians?
I don't think
he can help in any way?
No, I don't think we need any help with Iran. We'll win it one way or the other. We'll win it.
You know, Steve, do you think that President Trump really believes that? I mean, obviously, we know that he said that we've already won the war, that we're completely in control, all of those things. But obviously, we know China is definitely involved in some way, whether they're supporting Iran, but also we know how important Iran's oil is to China. So how do you anticipate this, I'm going to say, conversation playing out?
Yeah. Well, President Trump has a unique way of shaping information environments, and I think we sort of add a grain of salt to what we see in the walk-in to the.
People think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for The Record on Newsmax.